Welcome back to No Bias Hoops. Today we're talking about Malik Beasley and who he could sign with after being cleared from a federal gambling investigation. Malik Beasley had a great season with the Detroit Pistons. He was in Sixth Man of the Year candidate, averaging about 16 points per game on elite three-point shooting. Beasley was going to get a bag from Detroit, but with the gambling investigation, Detroit decided rather than waiting, they were going to sign Karis LeVert and Duncan Robinson. And honestly, I just don't think that was the right decision. Duncan Robinson, I think that's going to go down as one of the worst contracts in the future. And Karis LeVert isn't really much special. He's going to be probably all right for the Pistons, but I just don't love Karis LeVert that much. Where could Beasley go? The Brooklyn Nets are the only team with actual cap space, and apparently they are not interested in Malik Beasley. So Beasley is going to have to take a smaller contract. Now, there's other teams who could still pay him more. Utah Jazz, the Memphis Grizzlies have a little bit of money, but basically, Beasley is going to be taking a small contract, and that's why I think it would be highly doubtful that he takes more than a 1-year deal, because after that, he's going to prove himself and hopefully get that contract that he would have gotten if this gambling investigation didn't ensue. So who could sign him? You have the Memphis Grizzlies, and I don't see it very likely, but the Grizzlies did just trade Desmond Bane, and if they aren't going on the tanking path, signing Beasley would be huge for Memphis. He could play a lot of minutes, and I think that would be a good situation for Malik Beasley to be in. Milwaukee Bucks, again, I don't think this is happening. He played there earlier in his career, wasn't the best fit, so I doubt he goes to Milwaukee. He could go back to Detroit, but like I said, Detroit signed a few shooting guards, and also there was no he was not banned from signing a contract during this period where he was under investigation. And it makes sense why the Pistons wouldn't sign him knowing that he could be accused of this. However, it shows Malik Beasley that they didn't have trust in him, and I just don't think Malik would want to go back to that. Then you have Chicago, Charlotte, probably not happening. San Antonio could be interesting because Malik would probably want to play with Wemby. And they have a little bit more money than other teams, but he could also play a lot for San Antonio. They're going to go on a playoff push, and it would be a good fit. Then you have the favorite, the Indiana Pacers, and it makes sense here, right? Because the Pacers lose Halliburton for this season, and they don't want to throw the season away. Because why would they do that when the East is really bad this year? And yes, they lost their star player, Tyrese Halliburton. But I think we forget that Pascal Siakam won Eastern Conference Finals MVP over Tyrese Halliburton. Pascal Siakam had one of the best playoff runs in recent history, and that sounds insane. I'm not saying it went the way it should have. I'm not saying that he was a superstar. I'm not saying he was Kawhi Leonard, Toronto Raptors level, but he had an amazing playoff run, and along with the Indiana Pacers. So adding Beasley here makes sense. They could pay him a tiny bit more than other teams, and he could play a lot and get his money up next year. You have Atlanta. I am going to make a video on Atlanta soon because I really like Atlanta. They're my second favorites to win the East, which might sound insane, but I love what Atlanta's done this season. It would be awesome to add Malik Beasley to this roster, but Beasley would play less, and I think ultimately Beasley's going to go where he knows he can play the best, fit in the best, and get paid the most next season. The next team is Miami. They don't have a lot of depth, so that's why it would be appealing to Malik because they're similar to like a Detroit. You have Orlando. Orlando's going to be good this year. They don't really need more guards, but Malik Beasley could probably play a lot there, and he could probably get a decent contract next season. Then you have the rebuilding teams, which is the route he took last season, so he could go to Portland, Utah, New Orleans. Obviously, I don't think he should do that. He could go to Sacramento, but then the last option is taking a legit minimum contract and signing with the Knicks, the Warriors, the Timberwolves, etc. So he's going to have a big decision whether he wants to play for a championship, play the most minutes, get the most money, and really he's not going to be able to get paid much unless he goes to Brooklyn, but again, Brooklyn has no interest according to sources. So let me know where you think Malik Beasley should go, where you think he will go, and thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, and see you next time on No